intrigued by how on social media the posts I'm seeing the most are about how people don't feel any Christmas spirit this holiday season. And I thought that I would go live again and read some of the things that people are saying right now during Christmas Eve. And this is a summary that the algorithm picked up. And the summary of it reads: On December 24th, 2025, countless posts echo a shared sentiment of holiday blues, with users like Sophia admitting life's weight has dulled the festive magic. Loneliness hits hard for those spending the season alone or away from family, while exhaustion from finances, stress, and burnout amplifies the feeling for many. Surveys back this up, showing 41% of US adults bracing for more anxiety than last year. Yet the wave of similar stories offers quiet comfort that surviving 2025 is its own win. And I don't know about you guys, but that's definitely a little bit sad when you read it and you perceive it, especially if you work in areas where you deal with the public constantly. I can tell you that I saw many stressed out people, and not a lot of people were referencing the holiday at all. It was like they were on autopilot trying to do their shopping because, of course, they're anticipating guests or they're anticipating going somewhere. But overall, compared to previous years, it's just not there. Hey, teacher. Good to see you. Happy holidays to you, too. And if I had to personally add an extra layer to this, I would say that this is probably still a effect that people are suffering from the long time that the government shut down lost it. As far as I know, those people were not going to get their money back or something for the time that they missed. I don't know if that was official, if that's really how it all ended. But I mean, imagine that we went over a month with all of those things in the back burner. Like some people were not getting paid, they had to get other jobs, and let alone what kind of problems that generated for them. Like, did some of these people lose something, lose their homes, lose their cars? Anything could have happened during that time. So, sincerely, in my opinion, if you find yourself experiencing a crisis like that, I think the last thing in your mind would be festivities. And I don't want to just sound all gloomy about it, but me personally, even though I didn't experience something crazy like that, I can tell you that it's pointless for me to try to get in the festive spirit when, say, I don't have any family close by exactly, and they themselves don't do anything, and my boyfriend doesn't do anything, and his family doesn't do anything either. So, in a sense, I'm kind of grateful because it is really not all that, if you ask me. I really think this is blown out of proportion. Now, I can admit that as a kid, I did have good Christmases because obviously, when you're the kid, you're the center of attention. You're the being catered to, and it was fun. Like my grandparents, my grandfather was alive. My grandma, she always liked to buy us things and spoil us. This was both grandmas, paternal and maternal. And I can tell you that most of the holiday memories I have are with them. They were the ones who could have the time and resources to put together the whole everybody come together and meet up at my place. And my grandma had the biggest house. Therefore, it was easy for everybody to just gather over there. And my mom, all she had to do was pack our stuff, and she packs her own bag. And the Friday that school was over, if it landed on a Friday particularly, then we would take off from there. And yeah, it lasted like a solid week or so that we would spend with our grandparents. And I gotta tell you, it was magical at the time because as a kid, you're really not thinking about the details that go into making this happen. Because usually by the time we arrived at grandma's house, the decorations were already up, The gifts had already been purchased, so you were not part of the behind the scenes of the scrambling that maybe they had to do. And you may have taken part in it here and there. I remember some years that my grandma actively told my brother and I to browse for stuff, and whatever we wanted, we could pick it. It's not like every Christmas had to be a secret. Like, oh my goodness, I'm going to buy things for my grandchildren, but they're not gonna know what it is. They're not going to know if I fulfilled their Christmas wish list or whatever. And I'm grateful that I have those memories. But I gotta say that in my personal life, I think that spirit died down the moment that A, we moved, and B, when my grandfather died, because our family dynamic changed tremendously. It's like the manager of our family passed on, and although we saw that coming, it's like there was never officially a plan in effect for when that happened. And looking back, I can tell you that the last year I remember having a normal ish Christmas. It must have been like the year maybe 2005, 2006. And the reason I remember that vividly is because I remember that our grandma visited us at the area that we moved to. So that was pretty cool because she really hadn't left her hometown like that. And for her, it was quite the adventure, as you can imagine. So we were really proud of her in that regard. We only wish that granddaddy would have been a part of that. But see what I mean? I think as an adult, you have pressures that you cannot ignore. And Christmas doesn't Christmas like that anymore because of the stage in life that you're in. If you don't have kids, it's definitely not as fun, I guess. And if you don't have a family around, if you don't have solid friends like that, then what is the point? I think the most important thing is to not beat yourself up. Don't feel too bad about this. Thank you. Nice to see you on this Christmas Eve. It's nice to see you guys too, because I know I don't get to stream often, but I'm going to make an effort to make an appearance here and there, at least maybe once a month. That's what I'm going to shoot for. Or maybe I can make it a once a week type of thing. I'm not sure. I really don't wish to make the commitment because I know about today, but I don't know about tomorrow. And as you guys have seen, I'm still recovering from my physical blooper. So I really cannot make any promises. I'm surprised that I'm sitting on this chair for the past week or so. That's been crazy for me. JT, what happened to your message? Don't retract things around here. Good to see you, dude. I feel like I haven't seen you in the comments lately, unless you've been there, but somehow I've missed you. But I don't think so. I thought we were caught up. But anyway, good to see you. Well, I miss your videos and stuff, and I hope you have a really awesome Christmas. I miss you too, dude. Sincerely, I remember we were having some killer conversations in the comments. So I didn't try to be a bug and look you up and be like, "Where you at?" Because it means a lot that you show up in the first place. But I hope you're doing okay. I hope that you're all right. Maybe I just fell out from your algorithm or something. But yeah, I hope that you have a good Christmas too, because I know you have kids that you were telling me about. So, what are your plans? Are you hosting? Are you going somewhere? Or what's happening? Tell me about it. So yeah, you guys, I thought I would randomly scroll through some of these comments to see what people around the world are saying. Am I getting old? Am I getting old? Or is this the least Christmassy Christmas ever? How the hell is it tomorrow? Christmas is one day away and I feel nothing, no excitement, no cheer, no countdown vibes, just tired. Life been heavy, my mind overloaded, and the joy just ain't showing up like it used to. Oh my god, when it comes to overloaded minds, that is no joke. When you're having a tight schedule, like working day after day after day, back to back to back, and heaven forbid if you're going through something that warrants that you put extra hours at work, the burnout is real. And how can I say this in a way that's not too crazy? But it also doesn't help that because we're all going through this more likely than not in our own way. We all have these struggles in common. It could open opportunities for you to bond with people about how the struggle is real, but it's also possible that because we're sharing this burden, that we're not exactly going to be super kind to each other, because maybe at the time that we're out and about, the stress is maxed out. Therefore, that's all you're thinking about projecting. All you can think about is how you can't lift yourself up, like your mood is down and everything. So when you go out in the streets, you don't exactly experience kindness. And to give you an example, the people who drive crazy, that's an example of not being kind. When you're driving and you're driving stupid because you're stressed, that is incredibly dangerous. And that's adding to your stress. When you go out and about shopping and you see the long lines and you are by yourself and you're trying to be in and out, but the stuff that you're looking for is out of stock because everybody else wants the same. And then you thought that you could just do one trip and be over with your shopping, but now you have to coordinate going to another place and another place and another place. That's going to be a drain on you. And again, the last thing you want to do is be kind if you have to continuously keep making substitutions for the things that you had planned, but you cannot control if they're in stock or not, for instance, because, people really take the shit seriously. But I'm just saying that something that kills the holiday spirit is something that's supposed to be bringing people together and make them feel joyful. It becomes a chore. And when something is a chore and you're not exactly getting a lot of support for it, and if you're making a financial sacrifice, such as you're not in a good position money wise, but you're still trying to maintain appearances, maintain the tradition, that is a pressure that you're building up on yourself. And I think that makes it less likely that you'll encounter kind people out there. There are still nice people. Like, I've had my fair bit of nice encounters when I was at work, especially, like people making comments and stuff and complimenting the store, how we had it displayed this year. Like, we put a little bit extra effort on the decorations. And I personally dressed up yesterday because it was the last shift I had before Christmas. I was off today. I wore a green dress, pretty much the green dress from Halloween. I wore that. Then I wore a red headband. I wore red shoes, and I had like Christmassy looking socks. And that's not something I regularly do. And I was telling people, hey, I'm not exactly celebrating anything. I don't have any plans whatsoever. But at least with my clothing, since clothing is credited with being a form of sending a message, I thought, hey, why not project something with my clothes and at the same time blend in with the decor that we had going on at the store. And I had fun. It was a pretty smooth shift, except for the areas when we experienced a lapse in coverage, and I absolutely melted down at my manager. And I was like, what's happening? Why is no one in charge of the floor right now? Like, this person needs help. I need help. I can't get a hold of anybody, blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, I melted down. I was like upset and literally like cussing at him. Not cussing him out, just going like, why the F does this happen every damn time? Blah, blah, blah. Like, why does the day catch us without a plan? I'm not used to this because my management from back in the good old days, they had it together. Why do we not have it together this day and age? Shit like that. And then I also have to understand that the entire team, almost the whole team, is new. But that tells me that there's a lapse in training somewhere. Because even when I was new back in the good old days and we had new people who were just as new as I was, we got oriented about what we could expect and how to respond to certain situations, this and that. But I feel like that presence from, say, our management is not quite as strong. I'm not saying they're doing a bad job deliberately. I'm just saying that because a lot of them are new to their role, like they're freshly there, then it's their year to serve as a learning curve. But for a veteran like me, all I see is how this revolving door of employees coming in and out and nobody staying, that adds an extra pressure on me and those of us who have been there for a while. And at the same time, I'm like, I'm not mad at y'all. But at the same time, I'm kind of mad at y'all because we could have been training for this, preparing for this, but we didn't allocate those resources because something kept coming up. And why not fight for opening up the labor budget a little bit so that you can assign a veteran to train these people? I'll do it. If I have to do a little bit of overtime in the name of someone's education, like furthering someone's skills, I'll always say yes because I remember how that helped me back in my day at preparing for my role. But also I understand the importance of helping these people get confident. So that to me is what overloads my mind because I'm anticipating I'm going to work in this battlefield and it'll feel like I'm not supported, but it's not deliberate. It's a fight I'm having in my mind. It's not that these people are not trying their best. They're doing their best. That store is still running and we haven't closed that down, so clearly something is getting done, right? I'm just saying that the pressure feels greater because I am now becoming that model that I'm the point person because I've been there a long time. Like, fuck. See what I mean? So we need to make plans for that. So I can understand this person saying that they're overloaded. In my own definition of it, overload comes from multiple directions. And to finish her sentence, she says, everybody yelling holiday spirit while some of us are just trying to make it through the day without breaking down. If this season doesn't feel magical for you, you're not alone. Sometimes surviving this year is the gift, and that's gotta be enough for now. And that's just sad, you guys. We're living feeling accomplishment from just making it through the year. But what things have occurred to symbolize an achievement? Like, have you, I don't know, got married? Have you, those milestones we used to achieve? Have you bought a house? Have you, what are the things that are the markers of a successful year? Did you land the job of your dreams? Did you move to a better city? Or all those things, what is happening? Now it's, yay, I got to make it through the year alive. That's my achievement. What? That is a very sad way to live. And I can't lie, I feel that way pretty much all the time. I'm pretty good at pretending to be happy slash kind. I can't take out how I feel on others. It's not their fault. Exactly. I can 100% relate to that. There's a part of me that wants to be like, what is wrong with y'all? How do y'all not get bored of this is kind of whack. It's kind of lame. Every year, the same. We all eat the same on Thanksgiving. We all eat the same ish during Christmas. The pie, the turkey, the ham, and all that. Let it go. You know what I mean? And the traveling sucks these days, both on air and on the ground. You work so hard to pay rent or mortgage, whatever you have going on. And when you do have a little bit of time off, maybe if you're one of those people who gets maybe 1 or 2 days off, or you get the whole week off, whatever, do you even get to enjoy this thing that you bloody invest so much in financially, energy wise, mentally wise, emotional wise, all that? Do you even get to indulge in your home peacefully? No! To me, it doesn't sound like it, but some people, I guess, are good at pretending. And what's sad about that when it comes to pretending is you ever hear of stories of kids who thought that their parents were okay, but then years later they realized that they were pretty much living separate lives until they got old enough to where they can finally split for good and they stay together because of the kids and stuff. But then the kids are shocked because they really thought that they were living in a happy family, like their parents were loving each other and stuff. But then they realized that this whole time, oh, my parents actually were not happy with each other and they hid it from us and this and that. And then you have to process that in your noodle up here. And the other times it's like you yourself as a parent, especially if you're a single parent, where do you take out your frustrations? Is it when you shower? Is it when you go to bed and before bed you melt down a little bit, but you try to do it quietly so your kids don't hear you? Is it on the drive home? Is it like these are things that I have heard some of my coworkers tell me, the single parents. They're like, well, definitely I feel some type of way, but I don't let my kids see it. And see what I mean? It's how healthy can that be in the long term? I know for me, I have to let my issues out to the corresponding authority, right? Like a person of trust, a person who I know is going to bring me back around, something like that. That's why I melted down on my fucking manager yesterday. I was like, nah, if I don't let this out, I'm feeling my chest is tightening, I'm shaking, I'm talking fast, my stomach feels like a fist, all kinds of things. Like, let me freak out because if I internalize this, I'm going to fucking implode, and that is the worst thing. My adrenal gland did not relax until this morning, and my meltdown happened like at noon yesterday. When I was working out at the gym yesterday, I felt it. It's like I had this surge of energy, and I don't take caffeine. I don't do any of those things. Like, I don't consume any stimulants. But there is something about my physiology to where when I am overstimulated in some way, like say I feel rage, I feel frustration, whatever, I have a hard time calming down. And I think something that helped me recover overnight is that I took 4 things of magnesium. And on top of that, I didn't sleep the whole night. I woke up like 3 a.m. And after that, I couldn't sleep until around 5-ish a.m. I fell asleep again. But that's what I'm saying. Another thing that is burdensome about this season is that this season demands more from you physically, and there's really no way for you to truly recover because you are constantly moving. Like, you don't get a really good, proper cool down time. It's like you go from the job to go home, and if you have a workout routine, I know I have a workout routine. I gotta do that. It's more of using my body because if I don't do it, I'm gonna be weighing 250 pounds and I can't have that and shit like that. So, at what point do you get to truly chill out in a way that's productive? Because if you don't sleep well overnight, sucks to be you. You still have to show up to work. You cannot afford to have a bad physical time because whether you slept well, recovered well, or are recovering well from your injuries or whatever, work doesn't care. The schedule doesn't care. It's your body has to be ready for deployment at all times because if not, you are one paycheck away from tragedy striking, from your finances being messed up. That is just not the way to live. And the worst part is also living your life like you're trying to justify your existence and your current circumstances and avoiding so much judgment. Like, you're not working enough, or you're not at the right place, or you're not doing this or that, investing in this, investing in that. And it's constantly you on the defensive about other people who are not going through whatever you're going through because their times were different. They cannot conceive that in the season of your life that you're at, they compare themselves to you, and then they try to make it seem like your effort isn't valid because they're not seeing results. And that shit sucks, man. Like, I personally don't even try to engage in those conversations anymore. I just let them talk, and after that, I say, okay, have a good one. Uh, what do you have to say about that? Nothing. Because I didn't start this topic. This is your topic. This is what you want to say. I'm not going to entertain that. I don't know you. You don't know me. This and that. Just leave it at that. So not only do you not get to recover physically properly, but you also have to be mindful of who you allow to influence you, because if you don't physically remove yourself from certain places or actively avoid certain human beings, they can really have a serious effect on you. Working in retail during the holidays will make you want to melt down for real. I think back in the day, it was a little bit better, though. You're right. And see, something I remember distinctly about being a kid is that being at the stores felt more orderly. Say, the stores were arranged in a way to where people could actually walk comfortably. All of the registers were open. The staff was well trained and prepared and friendly. People had more respect for the store physically itself. Like, I don't remember seeing the toy section being all over the place. Everything was organized, like the items were matching, everything was well stocked. There was a worker in the area too, and that stuff was respected. But this day and age, I feel like everywhere I go, especially Target, it's like a tornado ran through it. Clothes everywhere, Starbucks cups abandoned everywhere. It is filthy. And I just don't remember that being people's conduct decades ago. And I just wonder why it is that we don't have a sense of pride about taking care of things. And for me, the world of retail did not intimidate me when I was a kid slash teenager. Like, I could have a okay time as a customer or as an extension of a customer, like me being with my mom or my grandparents. So then I said, all right, when I grow up, this is what I can expect I'm going to go through. But I'm telling you, my last normal year in retail, I would say, was the year 2014. After that, I feel like it kept gradually getting worse. And then 2019 was probably the last normal-ish season I can think of, and by normal is the decline was happening. But I want to say that after 2019, every single year there's something about this snowball that just made it go downhill at a sharper incline and just faster. Like, the way I recover from my shifts nowadays is just not the same. And I keep wondering what was so different about those years ago to where I could actually recover better and stuff. Oh, the schedule was better. Oh, everybody was trained. Oh, we had more people. So you cannot convince me that my experience isn't valid and that I'm tripping. I have memories, I have journals, I have video slash journals. I'm an honest person. I don't have to lie. I don't have to exaggerate. I know what I see. You can ask my counterparts, what do you feel? What do you think about this and that? Do you remember this and that? And they say, yes, we share this collective memory. So if you don't wish to accept it, that's on you. But that, like right now, as I tell you guys this, I feel that drain. And I think that drain of constantly feeling like you have to explain yourself, I feel like that's what kills the spirit for me. And it's not, obviously it's not obligatory that you have to explain yourself, but you feel compelled to, because some people are literally that unaware. It is insane. That's okay. You need to let it out, and it is totally understandable. I think I would feel the same way working in retail during the holidays. Sincerely, the first two holidays I remember working, what was shocking to me was the noise and the cluster of people, because you guys know that I don't like feeling like the walls are closing in on me. And my mom is the same way, so I guess I inherited that from her. It's a degree of people induced claustrophobia. But like I said, what was different about those years is that we prepared for the holidays. We would start talking about the holidays in September. Nowadays, I feel like we start talking about the holidays the month that said holiday is going to take place. Like, we'll make plans for that in freaking the last week of October or November. Like, bro, that's late. Back in the good old days, because this is an event, we would prepare for this event in advance. And I think preparing in advance is a great key for this to be successful. And I feel like we're time crunching our tasks more and more and more. And when I think about those earlier days of me working retail too, I'm telling you, the coverage that we had was insane. People from other departments, such as marketing or stuff like that, they would actually hang out with us at customer service. We would have people from other teams, like, say, the grocery area, all those areas, they would flock over to our place because we would be declared all hands on deck. And what that meant was, because customer service is as important as it is, we would have that extra backup. But nowadays, my skeleton crew that I have during the summer, because they take our budget away, like, say, there's not as much labor budget because, of course, school is out and everything slows down a bit. That same skeleton crew, they're trying to make us work with that during the holidays. Sure, the budget opens up just a little tad bit, but it's to accommodate for the allocations that have to take place. And I'm like, okay, but why is it that we still run with only 3 registers open? We're starting to look like those places where there never seems to be enough coverage. Like freaking Aldi. Go to Aldi and you only see like one register open. And if there's a line that finally starts going down an aisle, that's when they open a second one. Like, huh? What? So I'm just not used to that. I come from a time when everybody would be supporting us. And in other cases, we would have guest workers from other places, like another sister store or something. They would visit us if for whatever reason our projection is surpassing what we currently have available at the moment in time, because say maybe some people left or some people had to be seasonal, medical emergencies, whatever happens. Like, that mess was accounted for, and I never felt overwhelmed. The only thing that overwhelmed me was my senses, my hearing, and my sense of oh my god, there's people as far as the eye can see. But now everything is a freaking crunch, and that's what I don't like. And that's also spilling over to the customer experience, because the customers who need help are experiencing delays, and we're not exactly a nation known for our patience. Remember that kindness I was describing earlier about how we're less kind in general? Well, this aggravates the situation. And this is something incredibly difficult to explain to people, or to make them aware to where they retain that and don't try to let it out. It's like some people know that is the way of things, but the moment it's happening to them, all that common sense goes out the window. No, like, hold on to that fact. And that is what should continue to keep you being a considerate person. You know, it's not our fault and it's not your fault, but just try to be a little bit more empathetic. I worked in retail before. When it was time to change the seasonal aisle, that's when I didn't like the job much. Exactly. And it's because it is a time crunch. There's a lot of back stock. You're getting deliveries for product every single darn day. The receiving department is like on lockdown, not accessible. We don't want to see anybody who's not scheduled to be breaking these pallets down. They don't want to see you anywhere there because it's a hazard. I understand. But the folks who are dealing with that, they have their own little stress going on. And by extension, that's going to spill over to us because our managers are going to be receiving information that they have to act on. And if you don't happen to have a manager that's calm and gentle, you are effed up, okay? And that is something that everybody I would encourage to dominate. Everybody should dominate that. Just learn to pretty much receive information that is crappy and messes you up and whatnot and stay calm about it. I personally feel like I wouldn't have melted down yesterday if somebody would have told me, hey, you're going to be by yourself for prolonged periods of time, but do what you can. But no, like the performance expected of you remains the same. And there are times in which I need external support for my job to be successful because I cannot abandon my register to go assist a customer with something. But if those who are supposed to be like floating by to serve as my assistants are not available either, then it starts making me look bad because I'm the face that the customer is seeing at that moment in time. And I don't think that's fair. That's the part where I started to feel the frustration. Like, hold on a second. I feel like I'm taking three jobs when I'm only supposed to be focusing on one. So for the folks who have to deal with like the arrangement of the aisles and stuff, sometimes I feel like I would rather do that, but I'm careful about what I wish for because there is no way I would be comfortable with that sea of people going up and down the aisle as all of this is happening because there is no amount of overnight stocking that's going to help this look good because not only do we get raided in the daytime, but overnight there is still rearranging happening. And even if you don't have the wave of customers, now you see buildings of pallets with product in it that you have to break down. And oh my goodness, it's just a lot. And I'm grateful that this has been done many times to where we have a system down and it gets done, but it still affects your senses. The lights are bright, there's the music, there's the noise of all of this happening. And some people, I know I am, we can be hypersensitive with our senses. Like, I'm a kinesthetic learner. Therefore, things like that, it's overwhelming at some point. If you let me wear my noise canceling headphones, that'll make a huge difference. I could probably do that like it's nothing. But for safety reasons, of course, they don't let us do that anymore. But I miss the days when we could work overnight and we could have our own music going on. I never felt tired. You could have your own snacks and all that. But now everything has become so strict and rigid. And I'm just not used to that because at the end of the day, we're all human labor and we all have different needs. Maybe what do you call that? My metabolism is a little fired up. Therefore, I may need to eat a little more often. See what I mean? Whew. But yeah, guys, it's tough. And at least I can operate on autopilot because I've been doing this for a long time. I anticipate it and I see it coming and whatnot, but it depends on my role. If I have the role in which I'm pretty much assisting at running the sales floor, I am thriving. But if I'm tied down to one spot, such as, say, the register, and those floaters are not accessible, that's when I freak out. Let's see. I have to go now. I want you to know I didn't stop being a fan, just been going through some stuff, depressed, and working a second job to make ends meet. It was sure nice seeing you. Well, I'm sorry that you're going through that rough time. You're probably gone by now, but thanks for sharing and thanks for showing up. And if you need someone to talk to, you know where to find me. I think, did I give you my email? If I didn't give you my email, ask me for it and I'll drop you in one of the comments because I don't remember if we ever got around to that. I know that we were talking about that, so yeah, let me know. Made my day. you have yourself a happy holiday and thank you for making me smile. I don't do that much these days. Have a good night. That makes me so sad because I remember that you were always like really pumped in the comments and stuff. So, whatever you're going through, I really hope it gets better for you. I don't like knowing that my people are sad. Leave the sadness to me. I'm always the sad one. Uh, that is why I give respect to people working in a job where you interact with people. You know, now that you say that, I'm glad that you say that because sometimes I forget to give myself grace. Sure, it is no secret that I have antisocial tendencies. Like in person, I behave better when the setting is controlled. Say, a classroom setting, you have everybody seated, the teacher is, the center of attention, supposed to be. They're not respected these days, but I need order and structure. When there is chaos, I'm like a cat. All I know how to do is retreat, retreat, and find a high ground to look down on everybody. But when I'm at the job setting, again, unless I have the liberty to be floating around, even when I'm floating around, my mentality is I'm on the clock. In order for me to be here, to justify my presence, I have to be productive. So I'll be keeping the department organized. Like everybody will have supplies. I will make sure that there are no carts in the way. I will make sure that any messes on the floor, you'll be surprised by how crazy that place gets trashed. It's like people forget where trash cans are and all that. I just cannot handle seeing trash on the floor or anywhere for that matter. So I always consult those who are with me. Hey, do you want to take care of the core of the department or do you want to take care of the perimeter? When they say take care of the perimeter, I rejoice because that means I'm freely roaming. I'm always moving. I like to be moving. I like to be walking. I like to be just moving things around. But when I'm confined to a little space and I am overloaded by people, like I cannot take a break from people, that is when I feel overwhelmed. The only way I can thrive with people is if, again, we are assembled in a way that's orderly, organized. My favorite settings would be trainings, orientations, whenever we're hiring people, so we have to interview, conferences. I thrive. I am way too social. I sound kind of like what I sound here because that is a setting in which the goal is clear, the intention is clear, everybody's focused, and nobody's being a clown. But when you're dealing with the public, there's the person who's lonely, bored, angry, trying to flirt with you, uh, asking questions that they don't know how to phrase. So you have to act as a fortune teller, trying to guesstimate what it is that they want. And all those little things. If everybody showed up orderly and with a plan, I could do that for 12 hours straight. But because everybody's different, of course, that is something that you have to prepare for and you just have to learn to deal with it. But we're not all the same. See what I mean? And for me, after all these years, the only conclusion I can draw is that that's not the best setting for me to thrive in if the resources I need to be successful are not available. And that's why, again, I freaked out yesterday. I'm like, hey, I expect for this to be available, and this is why. Why isn't it? And then after that, I had to take a break, and I was determined to take the break permanently and go home. But the manager I talked to is the manager friend I be talking you guys about. So he was able to calm me down and appease me and all that with his almighty Capricorn energy. But I'm like, no, like, no. Once I physically feel the effects of the stress, the only thing that makes it better is me going to a quiet place. And the only quiet place I can think of is either in my car but outside of home or inside of home, because that parking lot becomes insane during this time of year. So even me retreating to my car wouldn't do it because the parking lot is a freaking hazard by that point. So it's a very difficult thing to balance because there's a part of me that's like, I like to work. I like what I do. I like to serve. To me, it's not a burden. Cashiering is not a burden. Handling returns is not a burden. Getting carts when it's raining and storming and flooding is not a burden to me. And genuinely interacting with customers and finding out what they're looking for and showing it to them, to me, that's not a burden. Sincerely, it isn't. What becomes a burden is when it becomes extra. Like the person who starts making political commentary, especially around election time, that's the worst. Or when people start doing mean people things. If you're not going to be kind, don't say anything in public. Reserve that mess for when you're in the privacy of your home, and then be a salty motherfucker all that you want. But in public, keep your behavior in check. And I just feel like people are going out there, and the out there is becoming an extension of their home. You guys notice how informal businesses are becoming? Like, go to social media, and pretty much every business has their social media page, and some of those businesses be behaving like average people, talking like average people, because they want to create that kind of connection with you as the consumer, because the more relatable that they become, the more likely you are to spend money. So because this country revolves around the dollar, that's all that takes over people. It's just the constant, how can I sell you something? And you get assaulted by ads, assaulted by sales, assaulted by subscriptions and colors and offers and deals and all of that. Like, when do you get to catch a break? And then when you go home, what are you going to do? Get on your phone or get on the computer. And what is there a lot of online? Ads. So you cannot turn off your consumer mode. Even when I'm here at home, sometimes I'll be browsing and I read something that reminds me of work. And that's not nice. Like, I should be able to pull away from that. But because this is a very algorithmic ridden experience now, the algorithm knows about my daytime whereabouts, and even though I try to type in words to refresh it so that it shows me new content, it still knows about me and who and what I am, and it'll keep me like perpetually trapped in that box of, I guess, the retail life. Not only does it not help that I'm a worker, but also I'm a consumer as well. Therefore, I experience it in the double, if that makes sense. Let's see. And I think I'm caught up with the comments. Okay, good. I'm gonna read some more posts online of what's going on here. Honestly, spending the holidays alone sucks. I can see that. It sucks sometimes. But to me personally, I can tell you, as someone who is not running out of seeing people in the daily anytime soon, I think spending the holidays alone can be a little bit of a blessing because, again, you get to avoid the noise. But if you're someone who is easily influenced and impressed by the things that other people are doing, other things that you see, then I can see how this could break you mentally. For me personally, the only thing I lament is the fact that my family is not easily accessible. But outside of that, I mean, I could face call them, I can access them instantly, even if it's not physical. And I feel like that suffices. And on top of that, again, because my developmental years were spent with pretty heavy family presence, I feel like I was served during that season of my life enough to where Now, as an adult, being deprived of, say, my grandparents and my mom and my brother here and there, that doesn't really affect me. I feel like I was served enough to suffice me for the rest of my life. But there are some people, I guess, who cling to that, and you need that tradition to persist. And if you're not being served in that manner, then I can see how you start tripping balls whenever you find yourself alone. Me personally, in the present, it would be ideal to not be totally alone because sometimes I crave, say, during the holidays, something we would do as a family is playing board games and stuff. There's that little bit of a nostalgia with me, but if I needed to play a game, I'm not running out of game opportunities anytime soon. I have the electronic versions, I have those board games too that I could pull out, and I know my boyfriend would be down for it. But sometimes he may have different plans that I may not be interested in. Like, say, he has friends that I'm not exactly super close with, and I don't feel compelled to show up to their events. But, he'll go to that, and then I'm here, and then I gotta figure out what to do with myself. Fortunately, I have this thing. We're congregating here right now for however long this may last. This serves me. If I were not streaming right now, more than likely I would probably be watching a Disney movie. I always traditionally watch things like Frozen and Toy Story because I don't know, it just resembles normal holidays for me. And I also like to experience that nostalgia of the older content. Outside of that, I would probably tune into my favorite channels too. Like, everybody puts out some kind of Christmas video and they're not necessarily doing anything. Sometimes they talk about what we're reading about, how shitty the holiday experience has been this year. Other times I will deliberately tune in to workers' horror stories, like me exposing myself to more retail stuff because sometimes that helps strengthen my mind. Like, yeah, this is the holiday for scams. This is all those things. I feel like it reinforces my defenses. But again, I gotta be careful with how much of that I do because if I'm not careful, then it may overwhelm me and keep me miserable. But I feel like I have a pretty good filter about that. And if it weren't any of those things, another thing I do is play music. I'm either practicing music myself, usually this is my season when I get like an itch to play my keyboard and stuff, or I browse the internet to see what kind of music is out there that maybe I have missed out on. So there's stuff to do. You just gotta figure out what to do with yourself. What does yourself like? And today, I still worked out. The gym was closed, but at my apartment complex they have like um a little workout room. It has treadmills, the gazelle, like I like to call it, the elliptical, and then they also have kettlebells, and they have that chest machine that you can like transform into a shoulder press too. So there's plenty of stuff to do. I'm not going to let go of my fitness just because, oh, the gym is closed. Like, I still find a way to incorporate my workouts. Hey there, beautiful. Hey, Holger. I've spent so many Christmases alone that I don't know how I would react to being with family and friends. That too, I think that's where I'm at. I have spent so many holidays by myself that I expect to be by myself, and the times that I did something, it was because my boyfriend's family was doing stuff. But then, after some of his family members who would arrange those things passed on, it's like that holiday spirit kind of died with them. And with me personally, like I said, the holiday does not dictate how I'm going to conduct my life. Especially as a retail worker, this is not special at all. It just isn't. So for me, I like the idea of having family over, but sometimes I'm like, at the same time, I don't because this is my crib. And if I know that there's people coming over, I'm going to want to slave away to have the house more presentable. It's not like it is a horrendous mess around here, but that is what I saw my mom doing. Therefore, that's what I feel like I have to do. And I don't like to be that extra when I'm trying to recover. Okay. Like at my job, I do so much cleaning, so much standing, so much moving, so much lifting, so much pushing and pulling and talking. When I'm at home, I don't want to talk. You guys, sometimes I have to like warm myself up to make the videos that you guys see me post that I film right here. Sometimes I got to like, if there were a creatine, which I don't take any of that for working out, but if there were a creatine for you to take before making a video, I would fucking need it. But I think the reason it comes so naturally for me now is because it's about to be 10 years since I've been doing this. So for me, this is really natural and automatic for me because all I gotta do is talk about what is in my mind. My channel is super simple, but sometimes when I just came back from a shift or like I haven't had quiet time, the last thing I want to do is talk. I want to hear things that are entertaining, maybe watch anime. That is the kind of noise I can tolerate. But sometimes I'm like, just leave me alone. Like, where you might see me, I'm not kidding when I say I'm antisocial. Like, I prefer for people to not look at me, not talk to me. Not, like, I don't need to be acknowledged. I don't need to be entertained so much. But when I'm in a setting like work where I'm serving as a host, I have to act unlike myself. And that is super hard. But that is also why I needed a job like that so that I'm not constantly being catered to. Because if I could have a job in which I'm permanently avoiding people, permanently online, dealing with people from a distance, and quietly, like I'm only typing, not even using my voice, then I don't think I would be able to thrive in an environment that challenges that. Like, what about the day that I have to show up somewhere and actually talk to people? Would I still be able to talk to people? Or would my mind and my character be affected by the fact that I do all of my communication over a screen? Therefore, when it's time to manifest in person, I'm a fucking idiot. No, no. So I always need to have something that goes against what I am, who I am, what I like, so that I keep myself in shape, if that makes sense. Because if I continuously stay in my comfort zone, then when you take my comfort away from me, what am I? Who am I? Can I manifest? Can I exist? Can I function? And maybe that is the issue that I've been bitching to you guys about some of my encounters that I have. I'm like, only a person who doesn't, I don't know, go out goes through it. So I don't want to be that person. Okay, caught up in the comments. Let's see what else they are saying over here. Does not feel like Christmas this year. Tell me why I'm crying a river right now. It doesn't feel like Christmas Eve at all. Xmas. I hate when I see Xmas. Stop saying Xmas. It's Christmas. You don't get to claim the letter of my word. What's so special with parents and grandparents when you were younger? When you lose all of that, it is the worst thing in the world. I can relate to that. Like I explained a little while ago. Um, Once my grandfather passed on, I want to say that signified a big change in my family with the holiday dynamic. And on top of that, it was also the same year that we happened to move away. So I really think grandparents, because they're in the position they're in, like they are probably about to retire or they have been retired by the time you were born, then they serve as our parents' assistants at, I guess, establishing the holiday magic, and they have experience with that too. So it's as if they are serving to train your parents on how to make the holiday special, and then your parents are supposed to be grooming you to grow up to be ready to do this with your kids, and then your parents become the grandparents of those kids, and the tradition keeps going. But again, those of us who are up there in age now, like some of us come from broken families, that tradition was disrupted, and some of us were away, some of us don't have kids, some of us don't have that going on. I can understand why the holiday is dying. And on top of that, this is an economic move too. Doing this mess is not free. So when you have people who are already tight for money and you're tempting them into getting into debt for this season, some people have to make smart decisions and forego this entire thing so that they don't set themselves back, you know? There's nothing wrong with that. If anything, it needs to be encouraged more. I did not hydrate properly before this stream. Guys, look, it's another year of Christmas alone and no family. Nothing is going my way today. That is not very Christmas-like. To everyone who spends their Christmas alone, you are not alone. Merry Christmas. Also, you guys, when it comes to Christmas, wasn't this originally supposed to be a religious experience? I don't think, what is it? Corporations have room in religion. So Christmas shouldn't be about spending money, getting people gifts and getting decorations and doing all this stuff. Isn't this supposed to be an observation of a of an event that we're trying to like remember and honor? Nobody makes religious references during this season. We have strayed away from that. So who's to say that this is not the year, the season, the decade when we let that die? Like our consumerism, maybe we have to let that die because it doesn't align with the original meaning of this thing. So in a sense, that's another reason why I feel like there is nothing wrong with Christmas going down the way it is right now. Christmas is tomorrow, and I ain't even got the thought that counts. This is the worst Christmas Eve of all Christmas Eves, slogging my way through a thick residue of pain. I'm not feeling very jolly, to be honest. Everything feels too off this time around. Holidays are only stressing me out even more. Oh, this is so funny. The Feliz is not navigating this year. Stay frosty. That is a reference to that Christmas song. Let's see. Someone is posting a picture of an injured finger. You guys, where you're at, is it actually cold? Because over here, we had 70-degree weather. So, whoever is singing of a warm Christmas, stop. We went from having like Canadian weather 2 weeks ago to this. I wore a t-shirt all day long. Let's see. Been trying very hard not to have a sad girl Christmas, but this year honestly sucked. Finally wrapping presents, and that seems to have done it. Very different Christmas this year from last. You guys, I have never in my life wrapped Christmas gift. Usually what I do is I get those gift bags with the handle. I buy tissue paper, stuff it in there, and then hand things off. And the last time I did something like that, it was whenever we had our bigger family gathering with my boyfriend's family, and my mom was there for that. And I'm telling you, that was definitely before the Rona. So if I had to guess, 2018 was probably the last time I did something like that. And everything is okay. I mean, I haven't gotten yelled at. I'm not resented for that. I don't feel any animosity coming from anybody. We fine. So maybe these people can be fine too if you forego spending on them, you know? Let's see. Co-op day. It's 40 degrees here. Well, darn. I'm ready for winter to come back. I think it's supposed to cool back down next week. If you celebrate Christmas, I wish you a Merry one. Sadly, I haven't been in a festive mood. This year has been yet another rough one for me, and I'm just so emotionally drained and fed up with things. Nevertheless, I appreciate all the support you have given me. Thank you. And you know, you guys, another thing that doesn't help is we keep seeing so many bad news, like plane crashes, which, by the way, planes have been crashing since the dawn of aviation. And wasn't last weekend a really dark weekend where we had all those shootings happening, like at Brown University and that one beach? I think it was out there in Australia. Uh, things like that. It's making me wonder, would it make a difference if we focused more on running more positive stories, having positive stories overpower the bad ones? What would that do for people? Would that actually make a difference? Like, even if we have a war zone somewhere in US soil, don't report it, don't talk about it. Focus on the good things, the good stories. Don't talk to me about kidnappings and murders and all that. I don't want to hear it. What if we had a solid week of good news? What would that do to us? But at the same time, it's really hard to do that when, like, look at how people are reacting over the Epstein stuff. It's like there is always something trying to distract us. And that is definitely done on purpose. It's by design, if you ask me. Watch my cynicism video, and that'll save me some rambling here. That's probably not pertinent to the topic. But you just gotta trust me that I really think that that news cycle being the way it is not doing us any favors either. We are hosting the severe weather shelter for that next week. I'm going to be very busy. I see. Very important because when the weather gets like that, there are so many people who are very vulnerable. At least in my community, I can tell you that there is a lot of people who need help. And I want to say we do pretty good with that stuff. Like all of the shelters that we have, the police, they really do try to go out their way to persuade the folks who are in the streets to go to those places. And most of them don't have behavioral issues from what I have heard. But those who have behavioral issues, sometimes I wish I could ask somebody and be like, how do you handle them so that they don't, so that they're not the bad apple in the bag that messes up the that shelter experience, I guess, for other people, you know? Let's see. Sometimes I think we like the drama and bad news. It makes us feel better about ourselves and our lives. You're absolutely right. I can tell you that sometimes bad news have served me to put things into perspective about how I could be going through a whole lot worse stuff, but I'm not. But I also think that is a little bit of a double-edged sword because just because you're comparing yourself and observing that stuff going on with you is not as bad as it could be, it doesn't mean that it's okay to be like, well, I don't feel like I have a right to feel bad about some things because there is worse that could be happening. I think that's kind of silly. And I know that's not the point that you're trying to make. I'm just saying that sometimes when I see something that is worse than my situation, I don't let it invalidate me because I'm one disaster away from my circumstances becoming just as bad as those things. And I really don't like to play the comparison game. Like, you have your challenges, they're as valid as they can be. As valid as they are to you, they affect you the way they affect you. Why would I try to be like, oh, I don't go through the same shit that you're going through, therefore I'm doing great. That's not really fair. Because on top of that, you're older, you have different challenges than I have, we live in different places, too many little details and factors to consider. And if I'm going to do something like that, I like to be objective and I will overanalyze it. And sometimes I feel like overanalyzing that may make me fall down some rabbit hole, and I'll end up making myself feel bad in some instances. So I think whatever you're going through, whatever is bad, embrace it. Don't compare yourself to others, as tempting as it is, and just take it one thing at a time. And hopefully, you can genuinely be calm about it, because I feel like the biggest challenge is genuinely believing that everything is going to be okay. And I know that I forget that sometimes. I'm like, I gotta remember everything is going to be okay. It's been okay since before I was here. It's been okay since I've been here. It's gonna be okay after I'm gone, you know? So that's how I like to limit it. Like, I'll be willing to tune in to bad news to remind myself that, yeah, the world is evil, but there's also good things happening. And even though, in my opinion, the world is on fire because everybody seems to be at the brink of conflict with each other, especially in like the West and the things that we see happening. That is really not how I want to define my existence, especially my existence that I consider it hasn't been a very happy one. Why would I do that to myself? So that's kind of complicated for me. Like, it's hard for me to describe because there's some things that I'm like, no matter what happens, I'm never going to compare myself with other people. But undeniably, there are times when it helps you put things in perspective. Like, oh, this bad thing that's happening to me, sure, it's bad, but it's not as bad as it could be. So, in a sense, yeah, it's kind of self elevating. But again, you are one little last thing away from happening to put you in that same situation or worse. And that's why I don't like to play the comparison game. I feel what I feel, and period. You feel what you feel, and period. We shouldn't try to one up each other on the basis of who's having it worse. I used to think it's just me. I think the mind has grown to mature side. That's why I only notice more bad news. You know, personally, I can tell you that compared to when I was a kid, I remember the stories that made headlines when I was a kid that were impactful. That as an adult, I have revisited to be like, whatever happened with this case about whatever that was it ever resolved, this and that? And sometimes I think about how, as a child, I didn't completely digest the meaning of those bad news and why it was affecting the adults around me. And now I feel like, as an adult, the tragedy that I'm hearing about now that's shaping my memories, now I can be like, oh, this is what it's like to be, I guess, affected, disturbed by news the way that the adults back in the day were. Of course, the details are going to be different, but the feeling is still the same. That feeling of you're sad about something, you're frustrated by something, you're appalled by something. Stuff like that is just part of humanity, I guess. It's not going anywhere. It's existed since forever and it'll continue to exist. But I can tell you that sometimes I, personally, do try to go out of my way to look up those things because I want to understand why they happen in the first place. And who's to say that information is not going to help me make better choices, keep myself safe, avoid the tragedy? And sometimes you do have to expose yourself to news like that because you have to toughen up. You cannot be living in a blissful state because the world is not bliss everywhere, and you have to be comfortable embracing the bliss when it happens, but also embracing the bad shit when it happens. And I think the people who have been overprotected and sheltered and they're used to the good life, whenever they get exposed to things that conflict with that, they freak out. In the same manner that, hey, it's also true that people who have lived in constant despair and frustration and all that negative emotions, when they do experience good shit or they're blessed with good people, better influences, they don't know how to embrace that either. Like, you're in denial that such people have found you, that such things are happening to you. So I think balance is the best thing to do. Personally, sometimes I struggle with integrating more positive things into my life because sometimes I just want to focus on the fact that I'm not where I need to be. I don't feel well. I'm lacking this. I'm missing this. I'm frustrated by this and that. And then sometimes I have to challenge myself with actively pursuing something positive. And usually, the way that I find something positive is, what can I learn? Can I learn a new song? Can I learn about, I don't know, aviation, something I like to study? Um, what is happening in my community? Like, why are they building this mess over here? You're killing my trees. Are you bringing something cool in their place? Those things. It is hard though, because it really feels like there's more stuff acting against you than there is acting in your favor. But that's why I always say I like to have things that are simple and easy to achieve. Like, this is a hobby for me. This never affects me negatively. Even if I were to get like shitty comments from some people, those don't affect me because I know what my goal is with this thing and nothing can break that. At work, the way that I try to make it positive is I'm always asking, hey, what's the next thing coming? Hey, what is the deal with this? Or I heard that this program is being launched. How does it work? Inquire, be curious. Be curious for positive things. And I find that when you are in learner mode, it is very hard for learning to be a negative experience. I think it's a negative experience if you're not mature for some things. Like, say, can you learn about abusive relationships? Can you learn about corruption in a way that doesn't disturb you? Can you learn about how bloody our history is and absorb that? Or what does it for you? Maybe it could be eating different. Like, there's a new place that opened. What is their menu like? Will you like this food or will you not like it? The positive thing can be you have a new place to indulge in. The negative thing could be they can't serve you. You know, it is so easy to incorporate positive things. As long as you're aware that they're actively trying to fish for your attention, and the best way to fish for your attention is with negative shit, I think if you're aware of that, you have already won like 80% of the battle. The other 20% is, how do you let this affect you or not? See what I mean? So for me, I always like to learn about the bad shit happening, but I also try to balance it out with positive things. And I can tell you guys that when I went through my episode with my sciatica, I was absolutely terrified because I'm not used to not having my body cooperate. But at the same time, I said, what can I learn from this? I learned about posture exercises, how to uh, reinforce my body to help it with healing, like how to sleep, how to shower, how to all those things. It was a great experience. It wasn't fun feeling the pain, but at least I learned how some people who go through this do it. I wasn't thinking about them at all, but at least this experience helped me slow down. And now the issue I'm having is that since I'm feeling a little better, I want to go back to my lifestyle as I knew it, and I know that is not proper. So I need to learn to slow down. What can I learn to help me achieve my goal of slowing down? That is where I'm at right now. I haven't figured that out yet. I still want to be that busy bee, moving at my pace and all that. So, how do I learn to slow down and calm down? I have found myself complaining even when good things happen. I don't know why. Because complaining is fun, dude. This is coming from a chronic complainer. I have complainer tendencies. Sometimes I feel like I don't expect you to relate or agree with this, but sometimes I feel like we feel guilty sometimes about complaining because we may have been raised or bred to be proper. And what's proper is that you're not supposed to display negative emotions and you're not supposed to be negatively critical. For instance, at least for me, my mom always told me every time we had to take my brother to the specialists that he had to see when he was growing up because of some of his challenges, he was always she was always like, we're going to go to this place. It's going to take hours. I don't want to hear you complaining. I don't want to hear you say that you're bored. I don't want to hear you say, basically, it was exerting dominion over my mood. And the way that we would neutralize that is I would have coloring books, I would have books, I would have whatever handheld fun electronic devices I had access to at that time. Those are really vintage ones by now. Um, but another thing that helped is some hospitals had areas for children, and those areas were equipped with things to accommodate children. Say they would have like a gaming area or toys around, or they would have a TV playing children's stuff. If you observe society now, it's been like remodeled to remove things that brought comfort and peace to a certain group of people, and I can tell you that children would be one of them. So as adults, I guess when we grow up and we're no longer being given lifesavers, I guess, like, okay, when you're a child, it seems more tolerable to hear you complaining because you haven't been taught better. But as an adult, you feel guilt because I had been taught better than to complain. My grandparents went through wars and they experienced famines, or their homes were blown up, blah, blah, blah. Something that happened to some of my family members. And then all of a sudden, there are things in your present life that don't resemble any of that. And I'm like, but that's the point of living. The point of living is not supposed to be you repeat the experiences of your ancestors. It's supposed to be this is your present. Your present challenges you in unique ways, and you go through those challenges however you see fit. Maybe you'll have an experience that may humble you, just like your parents were forcibly forced to, like, um I guess you can say they were humbled in the sense of whatever food they had access to, they embraced it because they weren't sure what was coming or when it was coming again. But you shouldn't make yourself feel like bad or guilty about that, because you're complaining about things that don't compare to what they went through. Thank God our experience does not compare to what they went through, because otherwise that means that the cycle is repeating. So sometimes I feel like we feel that way because we keep hearing about how we have it so much better. We have technology now, we have better shelters, better clothes, or things are not as heavy, as slow, as expensive, whatever. But I'm like, that doesn't take away the fact that I'm still a human being who's going to experience challenges that are going to induce complaints from me. And I think it's okay. I think anyone who opposes people complaining, they just are uncomfortable and they don't know how to deal with someone who is honest with themselves and are comfortable with expressing themselves. At least in my experience, I feel like people. themselves, they try to not complain, but they wish to complain, but they would rather not have that image of them being complainers, even though inside they're burning to complain, but they don't want to live with the shame of complaining. Whereas people like me, and potentially people like you, we don't care. We don't have anything to hide. We're comfortable. We're comfortable with who we are. Therefore, we're going to complain. And I think that complaining can be a good thing, because if you're expressing displeasure about something, it can be engineered into something better. Whereas if you don't complain, everything will seem like it's fine and it won't have an opportunity to improve. So next time anyone gives you shit about you complaining about something, just be like, "Oh, look at that. Someone who doesn't like to hear about opportunities for making something better," or something like that. That's what I would say. Damn, when I make a video, I never get this dry, I guess. I guess the air is starting to get cold here at my place. And I'm also starting to feel stuffy. I don't know why. Let's see. What else have I seen here? Okay. Most of the comments that I was reading, they're sounding about the same. Let's see. Self pity is warm. Is a warm, soft bed sometimes. It is. I think what makes it bad is if you remain there, if you linger there for too long. I guess the other thing I can compare it to is something like, let's say that you're not doing very well with your fitness, or let's say that you have gained some weight. It's okay that you are fat. It's not okay to be fat. There is a difference. That you are fat suggests that you're going through something that derailed you for a little bit, but you're aware that it's not acceptable. To be so means that you have embraced it and made it your identity and you are sticking to it. That is wrong. To have self pity, it is okay that you are self pitying. It's not okay to be self pitied, to linger in that stage the whole time. So maybe use the self pity to give yourself some grace and be like, yeah, there are some goals and dreams and desires that I have that are not being fulfilled right now, but it doesn't mean that they won't be necessarily. Some things you may need to come to peace and accept that maybe it's not meant for you, but you don't have to be stuck in that cycle. It's really weird for me to explain, but that's the best comparison I can make it to. It's okay that right now I'm not okay. It's not okay to be not okay forever. So even though I'm usually like salty and moody and frustrated, when good things happen, I know how to accept them. I know how to, even simple things can impress me. Like, oh, I configured something I order at a restaurant. I configured it in a different way and it turned out to be really good. Yay! I discovered something new, something good, something fun. Uh, or at work, sometimes I'm like, dang, I really don't like today's shift, but is there something that I can make different? And sometimes, if there's one of my regulars who comes in, as opposed to knocking out their order as fast as I usually do it, I may take an extra second to inquire about that really cute coat that they're wearing. Like, hey, I've never seen you wear that color before. It looks nice on you. Oh, yeah, thank you. I got it because blah, blah, blah. Or I got it from blah, 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 even though I'm not asking. Those little moments, to me, it is impactful because I want to complain about my shift, but instead, I'm doing something that I wouldn't regularly, which is break from my checklist, I guess, of how to interact with a customer. As opposed to being robotic, I decided to talk like a human being and be curious about something and handle that otherwise mundane transaction and turn it into something exciting because I went out of my routine. To me, that works. And I feel like that's what helps me recover from self pity sometimes. It's, wait a second, why do I have to feel like I'm sinking into this abyss when there is so much more to my life than just the job or my physical problems or my goals not being fulfilled, whatever. There's so much more, so many more things out there to explore. You just have to be out there and treat life like it's a treasure hunt. What is there to find? The person who seeks always finds. So if you're looking for fun, you can find fun. If you're looking for frustrations, woo, you can find frustrations. So just pick what's it going to be for you. And it's okay to sometimes succumb to that negative cloud and be consumed for by it. Let it overtake you. Just don't let it define you for too long. That's the difference. Well, you guys, I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. It was fun. I'm going to really, really, really try to not be too much of a stream ghost. Like I said, can't make any promises that I'll be able to make any commitments here. But this was fun. I'm glad I got to see you guys again. Okay, that's it. Bye.